Hey, good morning, Eastern Oregon, and welcome to this February 15th version of AM Live on EOA. Your connection to Eastern Oregon, we're glad you're here with us today. And later on, our guest is going to be Kevin Loveland here.
Yeah.
How are you, man?
I'm good. It's first Friday.
Yep.
That doesn't mean anything again this week because I got a packed weekend again. I have packed weekends for the next probably month.
Yeah, this is kind of the season, right?
Yeah, it's exciting. This is like winter is like a weird time in sports, like because everything's indoors, so it's like everybody's battling for a place to play.
Yeah.
So there's weird schedules but come tournament time, that's probably my favorite.
Yeah.
Basketball, wrestling, they all have their conference tournaments and it's exciting. It's very exciting.
So what did you think of the Super Bowl?
I thought it was a really good game.
Yeah.
I mean, it's only the second time ever Super Bowl's gone into overtime.
I know.
Mahomes just keeps adding to his legacy I think when it's all said and done, he'll be right there, if not further than Tom Brady, honestly.
Yeah.
He's got better numbers through his, first 6 years or whatever than Brady had. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Did you watch any of the commercials, or did you notice any of them?
I remember the one with Ben Affleck and who had Tom Brady in it. It was like a Dunkin' Donuts commercial. I think I liked that one. The Kanye West one was really weird. He basically made a commercial with his phone, and he said, "I spent $7 million on this spot, so I didn't have money for production." So he made it just like you'd make a reel on Instagram. And told people to go to his website. Everything was he made $19 million off of it.
No kidding.
Sold it, his merchandise. Everything was $20, no matter what it was. He made $19 million in one day on that.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, off of a cell phone video.
Off of a cell phone production video.
Yeah,
I don't think I saw that one.
Yeah, I think somebody told me that it was regional for like Chicago, New York. But I saw it.
Yeah,
it played whatever I was watching it on.
Just the way the game has changed, there's so many more commercials than what there has been.
They're not near as good as they used to be, though.
Yeah.
There was an era like, you remember the Budweiser?
Yeah, right.
When the commercials were just so good.
They were clever.
And it was every single commercial.
Right.
Like it was a battle to have the.
Right.
I don't feel like it's the same.
Yeah.
I kind of think the standard is not as high when it comes to.
Well, they certainly spend the money on them. It's
Yeah. I mean, I guess maybe they're just running out of ideas.
Yeah. What's funny, that the last play, the play that the Chiefs won on.
Yeah. Corn dog. It's called corn dog.
Yeah. They've used that same play in the past to win or super. That's been. I've seen several social media posts where they've broken down that play.
Yeah,
over
the
and over
coach,
again.
Andy Reid, there's a video of him telling you exactly why that play worked.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. It was a heck of a play.
Yeah.
I think they score even without that play, though. I think Mahomes finds a way.
Yeah.
You saw it on third down when he ran for 37 yards that drive alone.
Yeah, and that was just like a super critical. The game would have ended right there.
Yeah,
yeah.
And Mahomes just finds a way to get it done.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's crazy. I wouldn't be surprised if they're right back there next year.
Yeah.
Really. They've won 2 Super Bowls since they've traded the best receiver, or arguably the best receiver in the game, Tyreek Hill. And they're like, what are you going to do now? You don't have Tyreek. And what does Mahomes do? He wins two Super Bowls.
Yeah.
It's like, that's what they're going to do.
Yeah.
I hate that they're in my division. I hate it. Because, they're good. And,
right.
And I have to give them that props, but at the same time, they're in my same division. So,
yeah.
That's what I say about those guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All righty. Well, you want to do sports?
Let's do it.
Okay.
AM Sports Report brought to you by Buffalo Peak Golf Course. Get out there and see Dana. It's not the greatest weather, but the pro shop's open and you can go check it out. If there is a break in the weather, hit the links. It's gorgeous out there. Buffalo Peak Golf Course. Meet me at the Peak. LeGrand High School Boys Wrestling took second at the conference Special District 4 conference tournament. They were 120 points behind Crook County, which is a lot of points. at a wrestling tournament. They did qualify 12 for state, which is good news. I predicted we needed 16 to win a state championship, so it's going to be a really long, tough haul for LeGrand. They're going to have some guys show up that, maybe haven't in the past to even have a chance, because I don't even think Crook County's the best team in the state. I think Sweet Home's a little bit better than them. It's going to be tough. They had 6 district champions for LeGrand. I won't name them all. I've already named them all on social media. You can go look if you want to see who they are. LHS girls wrestling districts are this weekend in Scappoose. Let's go, Lady Tigers. They have a chance at winning a state championship. It's going to be tough, but they do have a legit shot. They have a lot of really good wrestlers on that girls team. It's exciting. LHS girls basketball won the GOL. And then they played this Saturday. I don't have a time, but it's a home game. And I'm not sure on the start time of it because there's nothing on the website yet. The boys basketball team won a thriller versus Ontario on Tuesday night. I won't say they played good. They played okay. They were up by 16 points against Ontario. They gave up that lead. And then with like 3 seconds left, hit a game-winning buzzer beater. They qualified for a play-in game for the state tournament. Let me get some pictures, Gabe. They qualified for a play-in game for the state tournament. They play Pendleton tonight at 6:30 in the second round of the GOL tournament. If they win tonight, they get a state playoff game, which is insane to me. This team is 6-17 overall and 1-5 in league. And if they win tonight in Pendleton, they get a state tournament game. They already qualified for a play-in game, so they have one more game at least after this. But I am a LeGrand lover, but I'm not a fan of going 1-5 in league and making the playoffs. I don't understand it. The whole basketball thing is weird to me. I'll never understand that. LHS swimming got second at districts in both boys and girls swimming. For a full list of state qualifiers, go to our Facebook page and check it out. EOU Athletics has a busy weekend at home this weekend. They're hosting a last chance invite for indoor track and field on Friday and Saturday. And then they also have the CCC tournament for men's wrestling, which is over 60 wrestlers from 12 different universities and the toughest conference in the whole country. I mean, the CCC has 6 teams ranked nationally. And if you want to watch good wrestling, go to that tournament this weekend. It's tomorrow and Saturday. The finals are at 5 on Saturday. So get up there and support the Mountie wrestling team. They're good. They're exciting. I think they're right around 19th or 20th in the country right now, and they have a guy that's ranked number 1 and a couple of guys in the top 10, and you should see some really good wrestling this weekend. Both men's and women's hoops for EOU take the Washington trip this weekend. They'll play Northwest on Friday night, and then the Gooey Ducks of Evergreen State on Saturday night. The games are super important for the men's team. They're sitting at 6th right now, and the goal for Coach Kemp is to get into that number 5 spot so we can get Corbin in the first round of the tournament. And you got to win out from here for them. They're going to make the CCC tournament. It's just a matter of where they end up placing for now. The women's lacrosse team heads to Spokane to take on Whitworth for their first game of the year. That'll be at noon on Sunday. EOU softball has a double dip in Ellensburg versus Central Washington. Those games are start at noon and 2 on Sunday. And then finally, EOU baseball goes to Monmouth to take on the Wolves and LeGrand's own Devin Bell. Devin Bell pitches for Western Oregon University, and we'll probably see him on the bump sometime this weekend. Those games start at 11 o'clock on Sunday. I sat down with EOU Baseball's Alex Farnsworth and Joey Fridas yesterday on the sports show. Here's a little bit of that. For you personally, what's your goals this year? Like, what do you want to accomplish?
I mean, I just want to win. We want to go out there. We want to compete every weekend. It's been tough the last couple of years, and as everyone knows.
Oh, I know, yeah.
And so it's like we just want to go out there and compete. We want to go out there and every weekend have a chance to win. And so it's good to see the change this year where we can go out and every weekend we know we're just as good, if not better than the team across the field. and go out there and just compete every pitch.
I'm a senior in high school. I'm trying to find somewhere to play baseball. Coach Tread says, Joey, get Doddsy to come play baseball at EOU. What are you going to tell me?
Well, I'd be honest with them. I'd let them know that the program's gone through its struggles, but it's definitely been able to make its strokes back. And if you just look at this season alone, like you said, like we've already beat our winning record from last year.
Right.
And just the group of guys that we have here, they want the best for you, whether that be on the coaching staff or just the team itself on the roster. They'll push you to be better. Like that's what we do, and we take pride in. We want the best for every single person. Like, yeah, we might not have the best facilities, but we make it work. And like Coach Hara, what he's been able to do on the offensive side this year, he's our new assistant coach.
Yeah,
and
the hitting coach.
Yeah, he loves the game of baseball, and same with Tread. Those two guys, they'll really just break down. Tread on the pitching side, they'll break down what you need to work on. Like a lot of guys have made huge jumps on the pitching side since the fall when they got here, and the same with the hitting.
That's awesome.
It's just they really want to see what you do well, and they put you in the best situation that you have the best possibility of succeeding in. And I mean, they do that just by all the data they take, by all like the Rapsodo and the hit tracks, and they take their time. They're diligent about what they do. And, yeah, if you want to become a Mountaineer, it's a great place. And the program's obviously, like, it's going in the right direction. And
I love it.
I think it'd be cool to start that new culture, especially right now. Like, we're turning the new page, and we don't even want to think about the last year or the 2 years prior to that. Like, this is a new EOU baseball, and we want to keep it that way.
Well, in baseball, you have to have short-term memory.
Exactly.
You know that. AM Sports Report brought to you by Buffalo Peak out in Union. Meet me at the Peak.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
All righty. Well, hey, let's take a look outside.
Oh, yippee.
Yeah, yippee. Kind of rainy.
It's wet. It was a little frozen this morning.
It was a little frosty this morning.
Yeah, like almost like freezing rain.
Yeah.
Like
there wasn't any accumulation at our place, but when I pulled into the parking lot, there was like snow on a couple of the different cars and stuff. So it just kind of floats around.
Eesh.
Yeah, it looks like there's snow on the tops of the buildings out there. Yeah, and then let's look at the weather graphic and the prediction. So 28 tonight, so below freezing, a little bit of snow tonight, and looks kind of like that's what it's going to be like the rest of the week here.
It looks like in the evenings, at least, it's not going to be frozen.
Yeah.
Starting Saturday.
Yeah, but it's kind of still super mild winter for what it is that we got going.
I'll still say we aren't done with winter yet.
No, yeah.
We haven't got the bad of it yet.
Yeah.
I don't think.
Yeah.
There's more coming.
Yeah, I'm with you. So
unfortunately.
Yeah. So let me tell you about a new sponsor that we have on the EOA network. Legacy Ford has joined us, and I don't know if you've been out to their new remodeled business out there, but man, it is just incredible. The Legacy Ford team out there is doing a great job. Not only did they redo their showroom and the whole front of their parking lot, but they also expanded their service area, all state-of-the-art stuff, and just a really great business out there. Appreciate Greg and his team for investing in local. It makes a difference. They have a great oil change special right now called The Works, and I think this is their regular price. It's not even a special. So for $49.99 for gas and $99.99 for diesel, there's an oil change. And the cool thing is that they will actually, you can schedule with them to come and pick up your vehicle, do the oil change, and then return the vehicle to you. So it is really something that's convenient for you guys. You can have them come pick up your vehicle wherever you are at work, and then deliver it back to you. And they will also do that with just the regular service that they do. So be sure and check them out, legacyford.net, or you can also call them at 541-963-2161. Legacy Ford, one of our new EOA network sponsors. All right, so right after this, we're going to have Kevin Loveland join us right here in the studio. We'll be right back.
Eastern Oregon is full of interesting people with interesting minds and interesting things to say. Here at EO Live, we're committed to connecting you to these intriguing people with EO Talks. We let our special guests share their ideas and life experiences with deep, open, engaging, and inquisitive conversations. You'll also be informed in depth on some of the most recent and relevant events, issues, and more. EO Talks on EO Live, your connection to Eastern Oregon, now on Roku.
All right, we're back with Kevin Loveland. And how appropriate, we just got done with Valentine's Day yesterday. Did you get any Valentine's Day jokes? I mean, that's like Loveland. That is your day, right?
You know, I didn't though.
Really?
I should have got some.
I think
would have suggested.
I think so.
As you're talking about that, like I've had a lot of people ask me, they're like, gosh, what a great name, Loveland, for a funeral home. How did you come up with the name? And then I reach my hand out and introduce myself as Kevin Loveland, and then everyone realizes why I came up with the name.
That's right. It kind of sounds like a movie.
It is.
Yeah, you know, I mean, like, anyhow, I won't go into it. So, but yeah, it's like, yeah, it sounds like a good title. Like a Disney ride, like a Disney amusement park. That's, it's Loveland, yeah.
So my wife is a marathon runner, and I had her and 5 of her friends, and we went to the Eugene Marathon, and we were in the Loveland Escalade. And so it was myself driving 5 gals in the Escalade, and every time we stopped to stop at a restaurant or a rest area or something like that, you could just see people as the girls were getting out. Like, what the heck is this? Like, what's this guy driving all these girls around? And it was pretty funny. And we just rolled with it the whole time and just laughed, and it was pretty interesting.
No, I had a similar experience when my daughter Kelsey had her 21st birthday. She invited me to go out with her, and so I was like the designated dad.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And so then, so we go out, and all of her girlfriends are dressed to the nines.
Oh yeah.
And the guys would look at me, and they look at the girls, and they look just like. And finally, one of them said, "Oh, you're the designated dad." Yeah. It's like
that's awesome.
Yeah. But yeah, it's like one of these things do not fit.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and they were all runners.
Yes.
In the marathon? Mm-hmm. Wow. Are you a marathon runner?
Oh no, absolutely not.
And you haven't been converted yet or anything?
No, that's why I have weapons, and so now I don't have to run from anybody or anything. So it works out in my favor.
Yeah.
I'm not a runner.
So I had a friend who was a marathon runner, and his girlfriend was not, and she would just ride the bike.
Right.
With him. I mean, so he would run and she would ride a bike.
Oh, yes.
Do you do that?
I have not done that.
We've
talked about it.
Yeah. Or you could like drive. You have a motorcycle or anything? Though?
I could drive, yeah.
Or you have an ATV, I know.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could.
Come on, honey, you better speed it up a little bit. Yeah.
Right.
You could be the pace car, whatever that is.
And now she runs with the grandbaby. She puts him in the stroller and runs with.
Like she's a grandmother now?
Oh yes. Yeah, we're old.
A marathon running grandma.
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
A marathon running grandma. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, you tell her I said that.
Oh, she's probably listening.
She's probably listening.
Now we're both in trouble.
Yeah, I suppose so. Well, I mean, that's awesome though. How awesome is that? So.
Yep, it's great. She keeps in good shape, and then it makes me keep in good shape. So.
Yeah. So what's up? What's new? Have you been hunting anywhere? I mean, I know that you are an avid. You go to a number. I guess we're kind of past hunting season.
You know, we really are, and I haven't even been steelhead fishing one time this year. And normally I go down and fish kind of the Bogans area between Lewiston and Enterprise, and I just haven't been down there. I've had several of my fishing buddies go, but I haven't been able to make it. Because we bought that funeral home up in Enterprise, it's just kept us busy running back and forth.
Yeah. Are you like burning up the highway between?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yep, we'll be headed up there tomorrow, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. It keeps us busy.
Yeah. And we talked about this the last time you were together, which is not too long ago. We talked quite a bit about the funeral home business and so on and so forth. And so, yeah, and that's an adventurous expansion for you.
It is. It's just trying to operate at the level that we like to operate.
Right.
Like, just being able to answer the phone every time somebody calls, and set appointments and set funerals, and it's tough because like Saturdays are the most popular day for a funeral. And when we have one up there and one here, it's a lot.
Yeah.
But it's been a good move. People up there have been very, very receptive of us and appreciative that we've come up there, and now we're part of the community, and we've already started to sponsor some events up there, and people are understanding that we do like to give back to the community.
Yeah. I've seen you in numerous situations. You and I have interacted a bunch, and you just have a big heart for people. I mean, it's just, and that is, the way you talk and the way you approach people. And I've seen you in public situations where, in services you just never know who's going to come to the microphone.
Oh, exactly.
Yeah, and sometimes somebody can take over and so on and so forth. But where did you get that part of compassion? Because you're incredibly patient in that, where did you get that thing in you that, I don't know, the way you handle people so graciously and so on forth?
It's funny because I never knew that I had that or really anything that I do.
Yeah.
And it was my girlfriend's dad when I was in high school that told me that he thought I would be a good funeral director, and I told him he was crazy.
Right.
And he's like, no, you are compassionate, and you are well-spoken, and this would be a good fit. And I was like, absolutely not. And I rode that for several months after he asked me to come work for him. I just said, oh, there's no way I want to do this kind of work. Like, my gosh, funeral directors are weirdos.
Yeah.
And now I'm one of those weirdo funeral directors.
Yeah. So, but were your parents, how was your mom and dad, do you think you got some of that from them?
I think I did. I don't know, it's been interesting because nobody in my family has ever like owned a service style of a business where you actually service the community. And so it just, like I meet with my accountant every year, and it doesn't matter how busy we are at the funeral home, I still make the same amount of money, and we just continue to give more to the community. And we have done that since 1999. And I have other funeral directors that are like, my gosh, you give way more than most places. But what everybody and I know everybody understands this, is once you start giving to people in a community, if you do it the right way, they give back.
Right.
And it's not just about, and being a little selfish on my part, it's not just about sponsoring that Little League baseball team. Your business does benefit when you do that kind of stuff. Like when I team up with you and we do the sports channels, it's nice that we're doing it for the community, but also the community does understand that, hey, Lovelands are good people, so we're going to give back, and we're going to call them when we need them.
Right.
I call that the circle.
The circle.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's what I call it. Like when I'm talking about local businesses supporting sports or the sports show, it works in a circle. You know, the business gives me the ability to provide a message to the community.
Yes.
And then I give that to the community, and then the community gives the business to the business.
Yes.
Which gives them the opportunity to make that circle complete.
They give the business to the business.
Yeah,
I like that.
Yeah, they give the business to the business.
Well, and we love partnering with people like that. And Legacy Ford fits into that same model. You know, so does Northwest Furniture and Mattress. I mean, all of those guys, you see their names, and you see their names on the jerseys of baseball players and little leaguers, and you see them in the parade. I mean, you see those same names over and over again. And you're right, it is, you know, I mean, we give quite a bit to nonprofit organizations, Youth for Christ and Creating Memories for Disabled. I serve on a couple of those different boards, and it's the same thing. Yeah, I give to them because I appreciate what they do, but on the same hand, there is a benefit.
There
to
really
the business.
is.
Yeah,
And so I know a lot of people are like, oh my gosh, Kevin is so generous and he runs around and helps people, but which is true. But people have helped me, and the more people that help me by calling our funeral home, the more we're going to be able to give, and it is a circle, and we are going to continue to do it. I'm going to continue to make the same amount of money next year, but as the funeral home grows, we just give more. And you're absolutely right. The business names that you just named, if you look around at the different events in this community, it's normally the same group of businesses that are contributing to this community, and that's why when we go to do business, we make sure we're doing business with the businesses that are giving. And it is a circle, and if you treat the circle right, you look at all the businesses in a community and you say, these are the people that are really supporting Union and now Wallowa County. So those are the guys I want to do business with, and it's been pretty cool watching everything happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of the things in business that's super transparent too.
It is.
You know what I mean. You don't have to guess. Like,
that's true.
Hey, Rock and Sons supports everything. I'm taking, I'm taking my car there. You know what I mean? It's that simple.
Right. Well, and the other thing that's taken me a while to appreciate and understand is the businesses that have invested a tremendous amount of money into the community. So, like Legacy Ford, for instance. I mean, the amount of money now part of it is, Ford, all of the dealerships, if you're an automobile dealership, there's a lot of pressure from corporate to upgrade your businesses and so on and so forth. But still, that's a significant amount of money that was invested locally. You say the same thing about Miller's. Now Miller's has sold and so on and so forth. But still, and I can't remember the guy's name who built that store, but he could have built that store anywhere. I mean, millions of dollars that poured into that facility. And people would say, but it just benefited him. That's not true. It benefited the community. I mean, that investment made a huge difference in the life of the community here. And I mean, and you just see that over and over again, so on and so forth. Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah. So, and that just makes a difference in the economic value of LeGrand and Union County and so on and so forth. So, good stuff. So what else is going on? Anything else new and exciting in your life?
Not really.
Not really?
Not really.
Yeah.
Just grandkids.
Just grandkids.
And I shouldn't say just grandkids. It's amazing. We absolutely just love it. And everyone complains about getting older, but I'm enjoying it.
Are you?
Except I have to wear glasses to read now. I don't like that. But other than that, everything's okay. I turned 53 at the end of January, and things are good.
Yeah, 53.
I know.
What about you were talking about things said into the mic at a funeral? What's the weirdest thing you've ever heard? Like, what's the string? Like, you were just sat there baffled. You don't have to say names or nothing like that. Just give me an idea of what like, you're just sitting there with the most baffled look on your face. What was that moment?
So I was in Canby, Oregon,
Okay.
and that's where I served my apprenticeship as a funeral director. And we were right there. The funeral home was right by Highway 99, and we, for whatever reason, sometimes our amplifier or speaker wires would pick up truckers going by.
Oh my.
Yeah.
And one time at a funeral, right in a very, very religious part, another trucker was having a very frustrating conversation with another trucker that they had just cut him off. And the problem is the trucker on the radio sounded like me.
Oh,
So
that's
it sounded
funny.
like you were talking.
And so everyone
bitch.
everyone in the funeral it spins around and looks back at me, and I'm standing back by the sound booth with my hands up, like,
Wait, that's not me.
It wasn't me. And then the other trucker fired back, and then they realized it came through the sound system. And then come to find out, I had talked to my boss, and he had said, I don't know what's going on, but he says that happened one other time, and I said it would have only taken me one time. And I would have ripped out the entire system and just redid it because it was horrible what they were saying.
I'm sure. I mean, truckers don't have the aren't mild by any means.
at this funeral. But as you were talking about microphone time, I can tell you that the open sharing at a funeral is incredibly scary.
Yeah.
For two reasons. Number one, sometimes people talk way too long.
Right.
And then they don't, and then that doesn't give people, other people time
The opportunity,
to get up
right?
to tell their story. But another thing is you just don't know what people are going to say.
Right.
And I have had to walk up, put my hand over the microphone, and tell people, this is a house of God.
Yeah.
And, you are not going to use swear words, cuss words in this place. You can do whatever you want when you exit this building, but this is a house of God. And people sometimes just look at me and they're a little frustrated, like it's part of my story. I'm like, I don't care. Like,
right.
We're not going to swear in a church.
Right.
Swear outside of the church. Tell the story at the graveside, or send the family a letter.
Right.
But we're not going to do that. And we've had people like relive, the entire sports year that they won a state championship. And I think you were at that one. And it just went on and on and on, play by play, and it went on for well over an hour. And they weren't even really talking about the person.
Right.
And so it can have its moments.
Yeah.
The open sharing. So what I always like to do is we like to give people a time frame.
Yeah.
And just be like, you got about 3 to 5 minutes to tell your story. And remember, we're in a church, so let's keep it clean.
Yeah.
That's when I emceed that funeral this last summer. That's what I did. I just said, you guys can have a couple minutes and then we're moving.
Right.
And thankfully it didn't I talked more than anybody else.
Which that's what they wanted you there for.
Yeah, it was good. Sarah Susan Dalrymple says she wants to thank you for being so great when her son passed.
Yeah. Tell her hello.
And then will you be providing safe rides in the Enterprise area? I can answer that. They already do.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yes, in fact, we will be doing. I'm sure we'll probably be doing Chief Joseph Days, Mule Days, and New Year's at a minimum. And
New
I know
Year's
that
is
there's
big there too because they have the fireworks.
And I know there's another
or 4th of July too.
4th of July. And there's another concert series up there that I'm sure we'll be talking to them about. Our first couple events, it was Mule Days and New Year's, and we weren't that busy up there. But we figured it's just going to take a while to catch on, and maybe people didn't need it, but we definitely want people to remember, if you have any major event, especially the nonprofit major events, if you'll call us and there's going to be alcohol involved, we definitely want to make sure we get everybody home safely.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Another question. Have you ever had like a body move? Like when you were like, you know, you see that stuff on TV where people talk, like, give me a story.
And you know what's funny is funeral directors all the time hear the stories. That, oh, my uncle worked in a morgue and he took me in there and 3 of the bodies set up and and let me tell you, if bodies start sitting up,
you're gone.
I'm quitting my job.
Yeah.
That's just it. That is completely it. And some of this information comes from very reliable sources like they're like, no, I was there or my uncle was there, and I have never seen a body set up. The one thing that does happen is...
that's what I want to know. What actually happens?
The one thing that does happen is funeral homes in the past, and this has gone back to ancient times, they always will put the hands try to put them across the chest. And a lot of the times your natural pose is down at your side.
Yeah.
And so what has happened is somebody could come up and bump the casket and those hands could slip and fall down. So because of that, and we've had it happen, and it scares the heck out of people.
Yeah.
And you can even put, you can do things. There's kind of sticky stuff like, football players use and stuff to kind of make it more tacky. But we just got to the point after it happened and this whole family just jumped. I said, we're just not doing it anymore. And because it is an issue, hands can move because they want to naturally go back down. They're not moving because the person is still alive.
No.
Like people all the time they think, oh, bodies sit up like when a snake passes away and they're continuing to move for hours and hours and days, and that doesn't happen.
Right.
But so now when you notice at our places, the hands are normally down at the side.
You don't even give it a chance.
Why fight it? Yeah.
So it scares people really bad. I've seen it happen a couple of times.
What's the scariest thing that's ever happened to you? You had to have been freaked out at least once. You've been in the business for 25 years.
Scariest, not the scariest thing that's ever happened, but I one time I was working for, well, it was pretty scary. I was working for a funeral home on Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard
in Portland.
It's now a McMinimum's pub.
Oh, wow.
And it was this, we called it Killingsworth Chapel of Chimes. And there was a time where I went out and I picked up a person that had passed away, and I dropped my boss off at his house. And then when I went back to the funeral home, the gang members that shot him were waiting for me at the funeral home.
Oh, yeah, that's scary.
And I don't know what their agenda was. And so I pulled into the parking lot, and I knew it was from the rival gang because, and I don't remember who had the red bandanas and who had the blue ones, but this kid had a bandana on that was, let's just say it was red, and then when I pulled into the parking lot, they were all blue bandanas.
Right.
And so I just kept driving.
Yeah, not even playing.
But another thing that I had happen one time is I was down there, and I was pretty close to that same area, Martin Luther King and Killingsworth, and I did have somebody open up the back of the van and then jump inside, and they were going to carjack me. And but they were in the back, and they're just kind of surveying, but he's got his hand on the mortuary cot, which there was a deceased person on, and I just turned around and I pointed at that cot that he had his hand on, and he was on his way to come probably try to wrestle me out of the car, and I just pointed right back at that person, and I just said, "Dead body."
Yeah, and he's like, "I'm out."
Dead body.
I'm out.
And this kid was he was big. Like I'm sure he probably could have gotten the vehicle. Let me tell you, he had already closed that door, and it was a cargo van. He couldn't get out that door, so he started screaming and yelling and jumping up and down and banging on the windows, and until I unlocked the doors because the side door was unlocked, and then he went out the side door and just took off running. But I think that's probably the last time he decided to carjack a van.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That's crazy.
But that one,
That's awesome.
yeah, that one was pretty scary. I had a couple of buddies in in college, that they were at a funeral home in the middle of the night, and they had picked up 2 deceased people, and they left one person in the rig and just went inside this building, closed the door, filled out the paperwork, and when they came out, the rig was gone. And it had a deceased person in it.
Oh no.
So they immediately pick up the phone and call 911, and as the police are driving there 1 block away from the funeral home, they found that van.
Yeah, they realized there was a body in there.
Yeah,
And they bailed.
whoever took that, they thought that I'm sure what they thought is okay, they just unloaded the body.
Right.
Because they were watching. They were obviously right there.
Yeah.
They just unloaded the body, so now we're going to steal their van. Well, they got a block away and realized there was still another body in there, and both doors were open. The rig was in park, and there was no harm. And the police found the vehicle within like 30 seconds after the call.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
That's bad mojo. I mean,
oh my. Oh yes,
even thieves know that.
that's true. That's true.
Well, and how awful that would be to have to explain to a family.
Oh gosh.
Hey, we don't know where your loved one
Yes.
is. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's an interesting business because people look at it all the time. Like when we go on road trips, like I had a funeral in San Jose, just a few months ago. But when we go on road trips, you just don't leave the casket parked outside of the Motel 6 in the vehicle, because if your vehicle gets stolen,
Right.
Wait, you take it in the hotel room with you?
no.
Get it its own hotel room?
No, we do not take the body. Or the
You
deceased
call
person.
one of your mortician buddies
That's
and
what
say,
we
hey,
do.
let me
That's what we
house
do.
a body?
And so as we're doing these trips, you have to coordinate with a local funeral home. And okay, I'm going to tell on myself. So on my way on this trip, I was driving. We have a diesel Yukon GMC, and I was driving, and I got to Eugene. I think you might have heard this story. I got to Eugene and had the casket in the vehicle and everything, and I was headed south. And I go to fuel up. I run in to use the restroom and get a bottle of water, and I came back out and I looked at the nozzle sticking out of the side of the vehicle, and the handle was black, not green.
You put gas in it?
And I'm like, don't tell me I just dumped 30 gallons of gas into our diesel vehicle. And I'm looking around, making sure nobody's not playing a joke on me.
Right, yeah.
I mean, we know funeral homes all over the place.
Yeah.
And they weren't.
You did it.
So I called my buddy who owns the funeral home in Springfield, and I said, Todd, I need some help.
I need a refrigerator.
And so he's like, I'll be there in 10 minutes. He pulls up with his hearse. We opened up the back door of my rig, the back door of his rig, and just slid the casket over. And then I called the tow truck. The GMC dealership came, they towed it, took it to their place. My buddy Todd gave me his rig, and I continued on down to San Jose and came back a couple of days later. My rig was done, and I was on my way. But I like to tell people that story because I'm hoping that the humility of it is going to make it to where I never do that again, because it was about a $900 bill.
Right.
Because I was not paying attention.
But thankfully, you didn't have to. You didn't start the.
No,
vehicle,
I did
right?
not start.
So all they had to do was drain the tank, and
if I would have started it, that would have been about 3 times that.
yeah.
Well, I would imagine like your niche, which is funeral home director / mortician. That's a pretty tight knit group, right? Like
Yeah, it is. A lot of funeral homes are owned by corporations, and so we try to steer clear of working with corporations when we can work with private
Locally
companies.
owned,
And so what happened was, years ago, some person on Wall Street just is like, oh my gosh, the baby boomers are coming of age. We need to get a group of investment people to gobble up and buy all of these funeral homes, because the baby boomers, the death rate's going to increase by so much. Right. So they went out and they bought all these funeral homes, and it worked for them in the big cities, but it didn't work for them in the small communities. And because they paid too much for it, then they raised the prices. And then you bring in, management from other areas, and the concept just didn't work that well in the rural areas. But the big cities, they did it. But yeah.
So outside of the large corporations, it's a pretty tight knit.
Yes. Yeah. And we call on each other all the time.
Nice.
So has there ever been a time when you were speaking at a funeral that was like you misspoke or you said something stupid that you had to retract or?
No, but I do have a funny story, and I know that the family, it would be okay if I told the story, but I won't mention names. But we were at a wedding one time in Elgin, and after leaving the wedding, I saw some taillights kind of down over a cliff, just one little red light, and so I jumped down there, and the tires were still spinning on the vehicle, and so I end up, and I'm feeling around in the dark, and then I finally find somebody out that had been ejected from the vehicle, and I'm sitting there, and I'm like, okay, and I can tell that this person is breathing, and other cars started to pull up, and then this person was starting to move around a little bit. So I'm like, I didn't know if their neck was broken or anything, so I was kind of holding them down. And then about the time somebody shines the flashlight on my face, and the person that I'm holding down realizes it's me, and you could just see the look of fear in their eyes, like, get Kevin Loveland off of me, I'm not dead. And,
oh, man.
And they're screaming and wiggling all around, not screaming, but...
Whoa, I'm alive.
And this guy,
I'm not ready to go
this
in
guy
there
was very, very strong, and he's moving all around, and then finally everybody gets there, and then the person gets hauled off in the ambulance. But the reason why I'm telling this story is because you asked, have I ever misspoken? Well, the family wanted me to tell that story at his funeral.
Okay.
When he finally did pass away.
Okay.
And he didn't pass away during that time. And let me tell you, I have never seen a group of people laugh more hard in my entire life. And it almost made me feel bad because people were rolling out of their chairs as I was telling the story because he wakes up and sees the Undertaker on top of him. And it made for a pretty funny story, but it almost was too funny at the funeral.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness.
One time, this is when I was pastoring, and there was somebody in our church who, a lady, and she was super witty, and so, and as I'm giving her obituary or talking about her, I said, it's like she was just a real smart, and ass was coming out of my mouth. Because that's what I had in my smart, and I changed it to Alec. She was just a real smart Alec, But everybody in the house knew what it was that I was going to say, and I was just so embarrassed because it's like, that's not something that a pastor would normally say about one of his parishioners.
No, but I'm sure you guys are on the air all the time. I'm sure you've run into situations like, whoop.
We don't have to follow FCC.
We're just guided by ourselves.
I don't think I've ever dropped the F-bomb.
Right.
But I've said some.
There are times where it's like, I wish I could retrieve that.
Right.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah. So.
But I don't think anybody's dropped the F-bomb.
No.
But everything else.
The only time it's ever bad out of service is during the sharing time, and that's when. And my gosh, and even if it's in a public area, I'll still step up there and just be like, you know what? There's some people here that you're probably offending with your language.
Well, and the thing I've noticed is sometimes people are just not aware. They don't know that. I mean, because I've seen people say, get the microphone and say, we really did not get along very well. He just really was not a very nice person, or whatever that might be. It's like, this isn't really the place to talk about the negative things about that particular person.
That's very true.
Yeah, and people just don't, but at the same time, you see all kinds of families, because families that have not been in the same room together for 40 years are now, and they haven't been in the same room because they don't get along with each other.
Yes.
Yeah, and now they are. Yeah, and you see that tension as different parts of that family come to the microphone, and well, we didn't always get along on stuff, but I really appreciate it. They're able to isolate a moment when.
Right.
Yeah.
I think it's the most uncomfortable and weirdest when it's like the current spouse and like exes.
Yeah.
Oh yes, that can be interesting. I've heard why is he
Yes,
here? Why is
yes.
she here? I've heard those comments before, and then we get asked, will you ask them to leave? And we're not policemen, we're not security guards,
Yeah.
and it's a public service, and so we don't regulate.
Yeah.
People can regulate, but they have to do it on their own,
Yeah.
in their own way, and. And the biggest fear that we have is when we know there's tension amongst the family.
Right.
Is like as we're taking the family in, who's going to sit where, and we don't do assigned seatings, because we don't normally go through all of that. But it can be a little nerve-wracking. And but the biggest thing is like brothers and sisters and that kind of stuff. Those are normally the ones that aren't getting along.
Right.
But I've been truly amazed when people come together for a funeral, they behave. Out of respect.
Right.
And we're really lucky. Like you don't have to deal with some of the stuff that like Southern California, Chicago with gangs and people coming into funeral homes and shooting them up because that's where there's a big group of that certain gang because they lost somebody. They know that they can just hit the funeral home, and we don't have to deal with that here, thankfully.
No, and when I was down there in mortuary school, that's where I worked. I mean, I worked out of that location, and it was very, very active.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. They talk about it all the time on the news,
and now it's even now it's a different. It's a beer pub.
Right.
Yeah, you did a service not too long ago that we streamed and recorded that was super unique, and I think you've done a few of those. It was up on a hill, was in a corral, and but what made that unique is the family actually it was like an old school, like a service that you would see in an old Western, where part of the routine or part of the ritual is that they wanted the pallbearers to actually, with ropes, lower the coffin down into the hole.
Yeah. And
there was some logistics there. That was a little bit. I mean, you had to have the ropes. Everybody had a pair of gloves.
Right.
And a casket is way heavier than what you would anticipate.
Oh yes.
Yes. I mean, that's always surprising to me when I've been a pallbearer. Is like, I mean, how much does a casket weigh?
So I mean, just a normal casket can be 150, 200 pounds.
Right, and then you add that to the weight of the actual person.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, and that was, and you could see that as they were trying to lower it. I mean, I think you had 4 guys on each side.
We did.
And they're trying to lower and they successfully did it, but still, you could tell it was like, wow, this was.
Yeah, and it was probably 90 degrees that day.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, and we had, there was a couple of people that kind of got that.
Well, that's right. Yeah.
Exhaustion and
yeah,
that was but that was awesome. We did it. We did the majority of it horseback.
Right. Yeah.
The casket was brought up on a wagon.
And right. Yeah.
All the family rode horses up there, and that was really cool. That one was really fun to be a part of.
Yeah. I mean, it was a beautiful Western. Funeral. Yeah.
And they were able to bury on their own property, which a lot of people inquire about that. And in most of the cases, if you live out in a rural area, you're not right next to a road or not right next to a creek, then the county is pretty good about giving us permission to do that.
Yeah.
And it makes it nice because that's where he belonged.
Yeah.
On his family's ranch.
My grandpa my grandpa and grandma were buried in a private cemetery.
Okay.
Yeah, and it was kind of interesting because when they went to bury them, they didn't know exactly for sure where the other coffins were.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so somebody came out with a rod
Yeah.
and found, okay, here's one, and so then they knew where to dig the next hole and stuff, and all those practices you just don't even think about.
No, and sometimes if somebody was buried in a shroud instead of a casket, then the rods don't pick up on that.
Oh, right,
and
yeah.
It can be interesting, or if somebody was buried in a wood casket and it wasn't put into like a concrete outer burial.
Sure,
container,
then that's all gone. It all
Yeah.
disintegrates. Yeah.
Yeah, the private cemeteries are tough.
Yeah.
The state of Oregon has actually a very active state mortuary and cemetery board that tries to regulate and keep track of cemeteries and funeral homes. But the private ones, like this one that we just did, there's no regulation. I mean, you just do it.
Rock and roll.
Yeah. I mean, there's regulation with the county.
Right.
The county wants you to do that, and then of course, but they do require that the name of the cemetery and all of the people that are buried there go on the deed to the property.
Oh, interesting.
And they do that on purpose to protect a future purchaser, so they know that there's a cemetery on the
Sure.
property.
Yeah.
What about, so you were talking about the board that oversees morticians and funeral homes. What's the OSHA for morticians? How you have like the county health inspector goes into a restaurant
Yes.
and gives you a score. Like
Yes.
what oversees your...
So that is it's the Oregon State Mortuary and Cemetery Board, and and it's a very active board. I'm actually on the board for my second term, and actually I served 2 terms, and then I got kicked off for a while because you can only be on there for so long, and then like 4 years later they asked me to come back, and so we are the governing board for all of the public cemeteries and funeral homes in the state. And so, but what that board's role is they have investigators, and we have really good investigators. And so they basically will walk into the funeral home, and when they walk in, you just got to let them do what they...
Kind of like county health inspector at a restaurant.
Yep, and they walk through and they check all of the files. They make sure that the families weren't taken advantage of in any way.
Oh, nice.
And both financially and just paperwork-wise. And they want to make sure that the family received the documents that they're supposed to receive, that they signed where they were supposed to sign, and mostly that they understood everything that went on. And it is a awesome board, because you go to Colorado, they have no board there. And so it's just... it's kind of like a free-for-all of funeral homes in Colorado, because they don't have a governing board, and Oregon
just provides accountability, right?
Oh, and it does. Oregon is strict, and I'm on the board, so not only so I can know all the new rules and the right things to do, but also being on the board, we change laws and legislative issues and get brought to us. And so I'm kind of on the board representing all of the funeral homes in Eastern Oregon. And so they know that they can call me if they have an issue that they want to bring up with the board.
The state.
And it's been great. Like we have meetings. Most of our meetings are done in Zoom, and which makes it nice to where I'm not having to travel to Portland.
Yeah.
Because the home office is right by Lloyd Center, and that's always lovely going down there.
Yeah.
JD says when he dies, he wants his casket filled with a bunch of sandbags and about 1,000 pounds worth, so he can be a pain in the ass to his buddies one more time.
Oh my God!
I mean, you're so big that I don't think we'd have to put 1,000 pounds in there, dude.
Yeah. It's gonna be a load anyhow.
Yeah, it's
That's
not,
right.
It's not going to be a little casket.
Well, man, thank you for jumping in with us this morning.
You're welcome.
It's always a pleasure, and we always have lots to talk about.
Yes, we do. Thanks for having me, and I kind of showed up dressed down today, so thank you.
No, you're good.
That's all right.
Yeah, glad you're here. So
Thanks, buddy.
Yeah.
I thought your hat looks kind of cool. I don't know what it is, but
No, you don't look
like
dressed down at all.
Little Native American mixed with a little.
Yeah.
I like it.
Well, you want to get us out of here, man?
Let's do it. On this day, 399 BC, philosopher Socrates. How do you say his name? Socrates? Is that right?
Socrates.
Okay. I knew it was close. Is sentenced to death by the city of Athens for corrupting the minds of the youth and the city for impiety. 1799, the first U.S. printed ballots are authorized in Pennsylvania. 1842, the first adhesive postage stamps in the United States in New York City. 1933, President-elect Franklin D. Roosevelt survives an assassination attempt in Miami, Florida, but then Mayor of Chicago, Anton Cermak, was killed in that same assassination attempt. 1961, a plane crashes with the entire United States figure skating team outside of Brussels Airport in Belgium en route to the World Championships. 73 crew and passengers, including 34 American skaters, coaches, officials, and other team members, are lost in that. I never knew that.
I didn't either.
I never knew that we lost the whole figure skating team. 1985 teen film The Breakfast Club is released, written and directed by John Hughes, starring Molly Ringwald, Judd Nelson, Emilio Estevez, Anthony Michael Hall, and Ali Sheedy. And then 2023, scientists warn that the Thwaites Glacier, the so-called Doomsday Glacier, the size of Florida, is weakening, threatening a global sea level rise of 1.6 meters. One glacier can raise the global sea level 1.6 meters. That's a lot.
Yes, it is.
That's a big glacier. I mean, the size of Florida?
Yeah.
That's a big glacier.
Wow.
Number one song in America on this day in 1994, The Power of Love by Celine Dion. And then the quote of the day comes from Maya Angelou. I can be changed by what happens to me, but I refuse to be reduced by it. One more time. I can be changed by what happens to me, but I refuse to be reduced by it. Hey, Kevin, I got a joke for you.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, what's the, pull that, get that thing off the screen. There we go. What's an Undertaker's favorite element?
I have no idea.
Barium.
Oh, my word.
Barium.
Oh, my word. Barium.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
All righty. Hey, thanks, man.
You bet. Thanks for having me.
Thanks
on
for
Tuesday.
being here with us. See you guys soon.